Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel. This is just a replay of a battle from a quick, friendly 1v1 I had in Total War against GenericServices. It's for a tournament that we have, best of 3 double elimination from the Something Awful forums. It's being held by Shalcar, who did a Rise of the Samurai tournament. As you can see, we are using Rise of the Samurai armies rather than standard. That's because that's sort of the theme of the thread right now. He's completed the Let's Play, go check it out if you get a chance. This is our first round. I'm going to be doing all of mine, win or lose. Now, one of the rules for this is that each of us has to take a mandatory hero unit. Mine are the Naginata Warrior Monk Hero. The rest of my army is the Naginata Levy, 2 Naginata Warrior Monks, 2 Naginata Cavalry, 2 Bow Attendants, 1 Bow Levy, and of course my General. My opponent over here has taken 2 Bow Warrior Monks, 2 Naginata Warrior Monks, 2 Sword Attendants, 1 Naginata Attendant, his designated hero unit, which are the Mounted Samurai Hero, and his General. Now he has to take the Mounted Samurai Hero in every game he plays, and I have to take the Naginata Warrior Monk Hero every match I play. Other than that, we're free to change up our armies as we see fit. Obviously, both of us have to take a General in every match, but other than that, things are relatively standard. We have buildings turned on, which was at our discretion. We did this, I elected to do this mostly to prevent camping. Otherwise, you'll find some people will hide up way in these mountains over here, in these trees, and they're basically very difficult to deal with. It's really cheap and boring to watch. So I got to pick the first map for this best of 3. The third map is one picked by Shalcar. Now, he's done a pretty good post-game analysis just sort of in general, so what I wanted to do here is just talk a bit about my tactics, what I was thinking about when I was getting into this match, so that maybe if some of my opponents in future matches are watching this, they can get a little bit of a heads up, or maybe they'll be able to use some of these. It's a slightly casual tournament, so I don't feel really bad about giving away any sort of trade secrets, as it were, and I want everyone to have sort of fun, so these are some basic things that you should do. Now, the first thing I did when I picked this map was, Daisetsu Basin is a very peculiar map. You stand on top of this narrow choke point that spills off to either side. So, in theory, you can actually move around the flanks, but as you can see, 5 units of infantry for my opponent's side are too many. He's stretched across to the bottom of these hills. On the other hand, 3 units fits in this sort of narrow choke point perfectly. Now, infantry in this map theoretically can flank, but in practice it's a very poor idea to do so, and you'll see that come into play later. On the other hand, cavalry are fast enough that they can get up this hill, even if they have to struggle a little bit, so you can flank with them. And that's why I have these 2 Naginata cavalry. So I'm spreading out my infantry to cover the widest possible frontage here, and I'm going to engage in a bit of a skirmish match. Now, his bow monks are vastly superior to mine, but I do have more archers than he does since I've got these bow levy. What I have to worry about is that he's got this Mounted Samurai Hero here. We're going to start opening up on my Naginata Warrior Monks. I'm going to draw them back just a little bit before they take too many casualties. But in this particular battle, what I've got is a dramatic mobility advantage. I've got a missile disadvantage just because of that Mounted Samurai Hero. And I've actually got a pretty even infantry advantage towards him. And the reason for that is my main hero unit is just such a strong one, and each of us got to pick our hero unit, and I chose these ones. The reason I did that is that they're a very reliable unit without having to actually fight and get kills. Now, a lot of people pick ones for their kill value. These ones, on the other hand, have Stand Firm, which is an excellent sort of rally-like effect, and they've got Warcry, which is another excellent sort of intimidation effect against the enemy, as well as, of course, all hero units have a morale radius around them that buffs your units. Now here I'm using that mobility. I don't want my opponent to get free shots on me for too long, so I'm going to charge my cavalry forward, chase away the general's bodyguard and his Mounted Samurai Hero. And the reason for that is as long as they're running away, they can't fire. I don't have to commit fully into these Naginata Warrior Monks, which would be able to completely kill my cav, but I do want him to stop firing so I can chase them away that way. Over on this side, doing the same thing, chasing away these bows, giving myself free shots. Now my strategy in this one is to sort of get him disordered, disorganized, to take his shooting out of the match. I don't want him shooting at my expensive melee units, because I can't afford to lose as many melee units as he can, since I only have 3, he's got more. what I'm hoping to do is tie up his entire infantry line with just my 3 units, and that's actually possible because of Stand Firm. Normally my Naginata Levy would be a very weak center, but since they're directly supported by my Naginata Warrior Monk heroes, they're actually very capable of holding a center line. So if I can hold 2 units with my left flank and hold another 2 units with my right flank, or hold 3 units in the center, I'll be in a good position to sweep around the back with my mounted Naginatas, take out his archers if he retreats them back behind his lines, which he will, and snipe his general, snipe his general's bodyguard, snipe his heroes, and to generally cause pandemonium and chaos. Here you can see that this time I'm doing things all over the place all at once. And this is just because it's a lot harder to manage this sort of assault. I feel I'm in a good position to sort of charge in without losing too many units to his bows. So I get a good charge off on the left, I managed to get a good charge in the middle with my cavalry, and I managed to get his general into a position where I think I can get it, so I'm actually going to move around that flank with these mounted Naginata. I'm going to move further around the flank with these other ones. The reason for that is I figured he'd intercept with his Naginata Warrior Monks, but instead he charges into my my Naginata Warrior Monks with them as well as his Sword Attendants, and the combination of those is going to tie them up. Now as you can see, I have done what I wanted here. I've tied up 2 units on my left, and here you can see that what I was talking about earlier coming into play. He can't really flank effectively with his Sword Attendants just because that hill is so hard to charge up. So these guys end up getting pushed out as well by 1 unit. So don't use infantry. On the other hand, my cavalry did a perfect flanking job. They managed to get around, managed to get his heroes, they managed to get his general. So they're very strong in melee, and they have bonuses against cavalry. This means that while my 1 unit is tying up his 2 units, my cav can finish up his midline. My heroes and the attendants are capable of finishing off his front line, which is just the 1 attendant unit, and I'm capable of just smashing on through, causing a chain rout. So my strategy relatively worked. I was kind of expecting more of the units to be center, that's why my general's here and stand and fight. I wasn't expecting him to block both the sides with 1 unit, which was a little bit different. It's not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. What he could have done is tried to pull back some units to try and hold off my cavalry, and he, of course, as Shalcar notes in his commentary, needed to use his abilities. He's a newer player. He's very good for a newer player, I found. He's got a good grasp of army composition and fundamentals. So I hope he does well. Good game to GenericServices, my opponent, and I wish you the best in the next matches. And that is the end of our first match.